Second, I told you we're going to have the Julianne Thompson. Tell people to tune in. We're going to have Julianne Thompson, former co-chair of the Atlanta Tea Party, currently chairman of the Capital Coalition for Conservative Leaders. We're going to have Steve Ramey, chairman of the Gwinnett Tea Party, who we're going to have him on this morning. We're going to have both of them. We have letters, and I just want to prep before we get this rolling. We have letters. See, this is all over the state. Here's from the Valdosta Tea Party. We have a letter this morning that came to us last night from the Valdosta Tea Party. We have a local letter, and here's the local letter, and this will be posted. These will be posted on FetcherNews.com later. But we have a letter that states that HB 170 would go in effect July 1st. And the new ELOST would have to comply with the new law. Now, we will check into that if the new ELOST, that's why Fannin County, you need to listen up, Fannin County, because we need to find out if the new ELOST, if that is going to, that you're voting in March, you might have it voted in, but it doesn't take place till September, and the law will be in effect. So, we're going to talk about how much was collected. This letter, if the math is right, you're going to want to listen to the numbers in this. We have a letter from the Gwinnett Tea Party this morning. We have a letter from the Gwinnett Tea Party, and we're going to be, this is not from this individual, but we're going to be talking to Steve Ramey, chairman of the Gwinnett Tea Party. We're going to see what that letter's about. Then we have all of our notes, so we're going to get them all out here and try to get ready. We're going to have all of our notes here. Then we have the House Bill 170. The Georgia School Board Association warned local school boards late Wednesday, this is last Wednesday, that the plan would cost school districts about $170 million a year. So this is something that we have to get into. We have to talk about. And we're going to do one more. We're going to do one more sponsor, and we thank our sponsors. And without our sponsors, we wouldn't be available. So please go tell all these shout-outs that we do in the morning. Go around town, tell these people you heard it on Good Morning from the Office, FetcherNews.com, and how much you appreciate them. Looking for a special Valentine's Day present? Hey guys, you want to listen to this? Looking for a special Valentine's Day present, birthday gift, or just the right gift for any other special occasion? Go to Spa Glisten Inc. at their new location at 242 Old Highway 5 South, across from Ellington Road, Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 6. Get your Valentine's gift certificates today for that special somebody. Go to Spa Glisten for unique gifts and spa treatments. Give them a call at 706-698-2772. That's 706-698-2772. That's 706-698-2-SPA. You'll be glad you did. Okay, so we're going to make this call now. And so stay with me. We're going to get two. It's going to take just a second to get two people on the line. It's going to take just a second to get two people on the line. And let's please bear with me as I got it here. Won't take but a minute.
Hello, this is Julianne.
Hey, good morning, Julianne. This is Brian. Hold just a minute while I get Steve on the line, and then I'll bring you back in.
All right.
Ramey.
Hey, Steve, this is Brian Pritchard with FetchYourNews.com. Hold on, I'm going to bring Julianne into our conversation. Just a minute. Okay, do I have Julianne and Steve? Can you both hear me?
I can.
Okay, let me tell our viewers and our listeners who you are this morning before we get started. On the line, I have with me on the line Julianne Thompson, former co-chairman of the Atlanta Tea Party, currently chairman of the Capital Coalition of Conservative Leaders, and we also have Steve Ramey, chairman of the Gwinnett Tea Party. If you guys have a little echo on the phone, our listeners can't hear that, so please power through it, and if you have a problem with hearing anything, let me know. How are you doing this morning, Julianne?
Doing fine, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Julianne, I've known for quite some time and have been at several meetings and have heard her speak on several different occasions. We spoke in quite length, and also good to have you, Steve Ramey. Now, you're the chairman of the Gwinnett Tea Party, Steve?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay, let me tell you what we're talking about this morning. As you probably well know, I'm doing a series. My name is Brian Pritchard, FetchYourNews.com, and we're doing a series on House Bill 170. And I want to look at this from a couple of reasons why I've called you guys this morning and wanted to get you guys into the conversation. Is I have spoke to State Senator Steve Gooch. I did a 22-minute interview, and we have that online. I've spoke to our local in Gilmer County Chair Commissioner Charlie Paris to get his opinion of what it would do to the local county as he sees it. So I want to get some more people in the mix. Julianne, our conversation, let's take off with this on House Bill 170, the 2015 Transportation Act. You and I had a conversation for our listeners and viewers the other day, and we talked about I'm going to use the words constitutional correctness. So Julianne, start out and tell our listeners what you think of the bill, what you think it does in its current form, and let's take off with that.
Sure. Well, first of all, the bill was just released about a week ago Wednesday, so it's really in the beginning stages of the legislative process, and so undoubtedly the bill will evolve and it will change over the course of the legislative process in the House and the Senate, and then when it ultimately goes to conference. But right now, looking at the bill, I mean, there are a couple of things in the bill that I think are extremely encouraging. One of those things being the fact, and this seems to be, when I heard a lot of people talk, this seems to be the two pieces that people find most controversial are the pieces that I find most encouraging, because I'm seeing our state legislators go back to constitutionally limited government, which is, one of our core principles. And in the bill, it does away with the current sales tax on gasoline and converts it to an excise tax. And by doing that, it really is a constitutional correction, because in the Georgia state constitution, it does state that all money derived from motor fuel taxes should go to roads, bridges, and infrastructure, and so that is exactly what this bill will do by converting it to an excise tax. The other part of the bill that is very encouraging to me is the fact that they are imposing a fee on electric cars, and I know that might seem controversial to a lot of people, but for those of us, all the rest of us, those roads and bridges that drive gasoline-powered vehicles, basically, we have been subsidized electric cars with our own tax dollars. Those electric cars use the same roads and tear up the same roads that gasoline-powered vehicles do, and so I'm sorry, I'm hearing so much background noise.
I'm sorry about that, Julianne. I apologize that you're hearing background noise. Hey, Steve, let me get you in the conversation now. And it might be because we have 3 in here. This is the first time we've done 3 people on the line. But Steve, listening to Julianne, let's get you in the conversation, Mr. Ramey, as the chairman of the Gwinnett Tea Party. How do you feel? Is this constitutional correctness? Where does the Tea Party stand in Gwinnett on this? And where do you stand on this bill? Let me hear your general statement on it.
Well, I think it's high time that we began to do something about the infrastructure. Otherwise, we're looking at probably economic collapse somewhere down the road if it doesn't take place. We are all for directing the monies to where they belong. As before, you may know, other citizens may not know, that some of the monies were directed in other departments and did not reach the highways and the structures that we needed to have rebuilt. So now it is more targeted, and it's actually, as she said, it's going to be massaged in several ways along the way, and it'll finally hopefully come out with something that everybody will be happy with. The Tea Party itself is very excited about the Department of Transportation finally taking action after all these years and doing something about it. We would like to make it clear that with that Tea Party, we are not for a tax increase on the citizens in any shape or form or fashion.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. On the website, and I pulled up the Gwinnett Tea Party website, and there's an article on there, but it's posted by admin. Could you tell me who the author of the Transportation Funding Act 2015 is that's posted on your website, who that author is?
Well, ESP follows a chair. I am the co-chair. David Hancock is my co-chair, who works with me. Oh, so and David puts most of the things on there.
Okay, because it on the website, and that's where now I've heard both of you discuss finally transportation stepping up. The penny, not to quote you, the penny doesn't. It belongs. The gas tax collected belongs to transportation. I'm generalizing according to the Constitution of Georgia. So let's step in and look. And as Julianne said, this is a beginning. They're going to be cutting this up. But the School Board Association, Georgia School Board Association said this plan could cost $172 million a year, a loss to local school districts. We have a letter that we're going to be posting this morning, and it is from the Gilmer County Tea Party. And I've spoke to several Tea Parties across the state, and it's addressing this local county here, Steve and Julianne, saying that last year in Gilmer County collected $10,794,000 in state gasoline tax. 1 penny of that goes to E-Lost, which for education. That would be $128,000 a month came in just in that penny. How do you think how do you think the adjustment's going to work? I mean, where's this money going to come from for these local governments? And that's who we're hearing cry the most. So let's talk about that next. Julianne, what say you?
Well, first of all, I would go back to what I said before. The Georgia Constitution does state that all money derived from motor fuel should go toward roads and bridges. And so this does make that correction. Is this going to hurt a lot of local entities and cause them to have to make some hard decisions and take some leadership where they're going to be making up this money? Yes, it probably will. But the bottom line is whether or not we're going to be consistent when we say that we believe in constitutionally limited government. And we can't pick and choose times to adhere to the Constitution based on what has come to be basically a sense of entitlement when it comes to these monies that were always supposed to go towards roads and bridges in the first place.
Steve, and when she mentioned that, and we're talking about the local, because I'm going to say maybe the state constitution, and I've not read this section, and I wish somebody would send it to me. This section concerning gas tax collected in the Georgia Constitution, that would be a chief bottom of your screen, chief@veterannews.com, if you can send me that section. But I guess what I'm saying is maybe transportation is well within their right to, under the Constitution, to take this. And I say the word take. I'm just going to put it that way. Steve, in the article that was on the website, and you said the other gentleman posts most of the stuff on the website, David Hancock, the co-chair, he does mention, or your website mentioned, they have been receiving, and this is talking about schools, they've been receiving revenue from gas tax, and this says probably illegal based on the state constitution, and the only way for them to make up what they see a lost money is to raise property taxes. Now it probably are both of you, Steve, I want to hear from you. Have schools basically been taking that penny off the top and should have never been taking it anyway? What say you, Steve?
Well, first of all, I think property taxes, certainly here in Gwinnett, where I live, are already way too high. We had some property tax values go up in the county, but we got no millage rollback, which virtually means every homeowner in the county got an increase in their taxes this year. Back to what Julianne said, it basically has been illegal for these schools to be receiving these monies in the first place. If you go into Gwinnett in particular, I think over the last few years you will see the structure of management, the percentage of management is well above average of what it was 5 or 10 years ago. So we're putting more structure into our upper management people than there are students that we have. So we're getting top heavy when it comes to the leadership part. So maybe we need to take a look at that. The percentage I don't have at the tip of my tongue right now. I think we need to look at management first and restructure there, so everyone has an opportunity to revise their own budget and go from there. But I know that the taxes here, if I had my opinion about it, you may have seen on there somewhere. My opinion is that we should have kind of a flat tax operation, or a tax that everyone pays, including renters and so forth. That way, everyone is doing the same. We have a lot of people here illegally. We have a lot of people here that rent apartments, and there's no problem with that. But they use the same highways, they use the same emergency vehicles, fire vehicles, police services, and so forth, as the homeowners do. But the homeowners bear the brunt. So if we had like a tax that everyone would pay, maybe it's a cent on the dollar, whatever the case is. That would make it better for the homeowner, and we could eventually cut out, because you never actually own your home as long as you live. You pay a bounty every year on the taxes to your county government, or you lose your house.
Okay, Julianne, let me ask you something. I was thinking about something while Steve was explaining that. You said it did come out last Thursday, and this thing is going to go back and forth through committee, and it'll probably look it may look a lot different than it did Thursday morning by the time we vote on this. So what would you personally, you've read the bill, I know you've read this and studied this, what would you start adjusting in it if Julianne had an opportunity to start axing through and changing things? What have you seen in there that you would work on?
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to attend some of the committee meetings and, really get into the bill and the details of the bill. As we discussed the other day on the phone, there are some parts in the bill that it's really difficult to answer that question, since I'm not the bill author. But I will say the bill author has been very, he had an open door policy with me and with many members of the Tea Party and Tea Party leaders, and he's very interested in our opinions and working with us. But I want to go back, if you don't mind, for a second, when you mentioned about local school boards, and just give you an example. It's very important, I think, before any local school board would go back and decide that they're going to do some sort of a tax increase, that they be accountable to the citizens for how they're spending their money. Just to give you an example, here in Gwinnett County, where both Steve and I live, we're paying some administrators up to $400,000 a year. Perhaps they could decrease their salaries in the administrative area. Perhaps they could stop, well, I believe they have stopped because the Attorney General ruled it illegal, but the school system had been giving a wing of the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce $150,000 a year since the year 2007. And that's taxpayer money that was going to pay the salaries of 2 employees. So there's a lot of areas I think that can be cut when it comes to the local school boards as well, because let's face it, the money that local school boards are taking in, it's not going toward, all of it is not going towards the children and toward teacher salaries like we really believe that it should be as taxpayers. Much of it is going into these huge bloated administrative salaries. So there are many areas that I think that local governments, especially school boards, need to be more accountable to taxpayers.
I'm very glad you brought that up right before I brought you two in this morning to the conversation. I'm working on a segment now on the local school system here in Gilmer County, and I was talking, it's a small county, it's not Gwinnett County, but just in the administrative offices alone, there's $1 million, an average of around $1 million a year in salaries just in administrative, just in the building. So that is a valid point when you're looking at, and I tell you what, and Steve, I want to get you in on this first, and then I want to hear what Julianne tells me on this. The fourth penny, and great thing about internet, I'm not up against a hard break, and unless you guys are in a hurry, we can talk a little more. The fourth penny, back in the 90s, it was, and I would say sold, but just to paraphrase, back in the 90s when the Georgia state sales tax went from 3 to 4, the 4 was, it was going to do all kinds of great humanitarian things. It was going to help education. It was going to help senior citizens. It was going to help health care. I mean, it just had so many great positives to it. Their words is the reason they had to have the fourth penny. There's a big portion of that fourth penny that goes to education on the state level, and I know where Julianne's going with the local, but they're very upset. How do you see that fourth penny being moved, and are they going to make cuts in the Georgia budget? Are they going to make cuts in those other areas where the fourth penny was going into? Go ahead, Steve.
I didn't hear the end.
Well, the fourth penny is going to take a couple $100 million, my understanding, out of the budget. That some of it's going to health care, some of it's going to education. There's all kinds of areas that fourth penny is going to. So do you think the state of Georgia is going to do, what are they going to do in that area? And how are they going to compensate for moving the fourth penny over?
Well, I think it's, as we've talked about before, this bill is going to be molded and shaped, and it's going to make transitions along the way to hopefully address some of these issues. I'm not exactly sure where the money will come from. I mean, there's many times, as you well know, anytime the government puts their hands into the till, the monies don't always get effectively and efficiently spent the way they should be. So I think if each group of where the penny went will have to go in and look at their own budget and make some changes along the way. Now, I'm not saying they should shut them down, but each government should have, and should have been doing all along, is giving the taxpayer everything worth what they're putting in, and we're not always getting that. And we're looking at inefficiency in huge buildings that are kind of ornate for what they're actually developed for. If you're going to meet in management there, you don't necessarily need a grandiose building with I'll call it grandiose surroundings, which I would call the one in Gwinnett. So again, those kind of budgets can be cut back without any problem at all. And again, upper management ratio versus students has grown drastically in Gwinnett.
Hey, Julianne, let me ask you something. One of the things in the letter I have this morning from the Valdosta Tea Party, they stress Section 5.1 of the bill states the Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank Act. And the board, and here's a quote out of there, the board shall determine which projects are eligible projects and then select from among the eligible projects qualified projects. And that's a quote in the bill. And let me just, before you answer, the T-Splost, every county had to get together and put their wish list, their top 10 road projects in the county. They had to submit it to the region. I remember it very well. And then they were put in a barrel of possible projects, and then T-Splost, as you know, was voted down. What about the concern that people have that this is going to shift money, whether it's constitutional or not, over to transportation, and they don't even have to list the projects that they're going to do with it?
Well, first of all, what we objected to so much during T-Splost, including the people from the Valdosta Tea Party, was the fact that it was so many bureaucrats choosing the project lists, and so much that was in, just a group of really bad project lists were really based on the fact that each region, regarding T-Splost, each region's local elected officials needed to take that money and spend it somewhere, and so we weren't necessarily getting the most bang for our buck for the highest priority of what was needed in the state of Georgia. And I think what they're trying to do with this bill is shift the decision making, take it out of the hands of bureaucracy and put it into the hands of trained engineers in the transportation area who know what is most important as far as our project list is concerned, and who understands from their training and from a technological standpoint the order in which those projects have to be completed. So I think that allowing engineers to decide the project and the timing for them is a step in the right direction.
Steve, what do you think on that? And I tell you what I was asking, which Julianne, you did an outstanding job on explaining that. But I guess what I was asking, Steve, I want to hear from you is the bank, the 5.1 bill states the Georgia Transportation Infrastructure. Isn't that an awful lot of powers as Tea Party? And I know you're former co-chairman of the Atlanta Tea Party, and Julianne, as we talk, Tea Party's a movement. So I think a lot of us have Tea Party views, whether we attend a meeting or not. But the board shall determine, Steve, which projects are eligible projects, and then select from from among the eligible projects qualify. Isn't that an awful lot of power given to a board for this money? And how do you see that, Steve?
Well, one of the things when you mention a board, I immediately thought of having regional areas who are like the the Atlanta Regional Commission, things like that. When you do a commission like that and have them be making decisions for the people, you actually take the decision-making part away from the people, and it's not appropriate necessarily the way the people want, but according to how the Regional Commission wants it. And it's not just the Atlanta Regional Commission, but commissions like that. The structure of what they're attempting to do at this point is, again, I think, in a step in the right direction, and I'm all for it. And as Julianne said, if we find the right people to go in and take action, then I think we're going to see a far better Georgia than what we're seeing right now, and we're going to see hopefully a more efficient Georgia and how our taxes are being used.
So you as a co-chair of the Gwinnett Tea Party, let me make sure, would you be in support of a board being assembled? Because I do know enough about several of the Tea Parties and some of these unelected boards that get assembled with like the State School Board of Education, a whole nother thing we'll talk about one day. But sometimes these boards that get assembled that have so much decision-making power is a concern. So would you be okay with the board being assembled to make those decisions like that?
I'm going to actually back away from that decision at this point. I do know that certain decisions have to be made, and we have a transportation department already. I think a project should be determined probably by the maybe the structure's age and the dilapidation of that certain project, how far along it's gone. And from that standpoint, whatever's worse, which will begin first.
I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
And do it that way, because the most dangerous projects we have may be in Waycross, Georgia. I don't know. If you got a bridge there it's ready to fall down and hurt some people, then it's time to do something about that. So I would go with, I think we have a pretty good Department of Transportation already put together, and probably they can make decisions in many cases on their own without creating a new board. The more boards you have, the more confusion you wind up with.
Okay, I want to close with two things. I'm sorry if I interrupt you. I apologize, Steve. I want to close with two things. I need to move, and I know you guys probably have a lot to do today. I want to ask Julianne about the Capital Coalition for Conservative Leaders. So I want to close with that. Julianne, stay with me. Steve, I want to close with you on, I'm getting emails all across the state from Tea Parties, from Lanier to Valdosta. I've read articles in Augusta. I've all across the state. Why am I getting conflicting, I won't say views, is there a division, or is there two thought lines here in the Tea Party? Is the Tea Party in Georgia not, and I say Tea Party, there's a lot of different, Valdosta, North Georgia, Tea Party Patriots. Why does the Tea Party not coming together with this as strong as they did T-Splost? And is there a division there, and what's the reasons?
Well, I can't speak for other people. All I know is that we, again, our Tea Party and the ones that I associate with are constitutional driven. And the group that you're speaking of doesn't appear to be in the same mode, same frame of mind. So I would just have to put it there and leave it. I'm not going to say anything about any other groups, except that we are constitutionally driven. I think we should follow the Constitution both federally and statewide.
All right. Well, I think some of their thought that I'm seeing is the state of Georgia is saying they're not going to raise state taxes, but this will leave local communities no choice but to raise taxes, and that's how that is. So I appreciate your comment. Steve, I'd like to come back one day and talk about H.R. 14. I think that's H.R. 14, the Fiscal Accountability Bill. You know what I'm talking about? I'd like to come back. Excuse me?
You're really muffled.
I'd like to come back and talk about that one day. Julianne, before we leave, Steve, again, thank you for being with us today. If you'll just stick with us till we hang up here with Julianne. Julianne, tell us, I wanted Dan, what is the Capital Coalition for Conservatives? Tell us what that is. How can we get involved if we want to, and who do we talk to there?
Well, the Capital Coalition of Conservative Leaders has been in existence now this is our fourth year at the state capitol. There were so many groups across the conservative spectrum that were up at the Capitol working on issues, but they were all separate. And two other leaders came together with myself, Kay Godwin and Pat Tippett, who are the co-founders of Georgia Conservatives in Action, which is based out of South Georgia. But they have been active at the state capitol for longer than I can possibly imagine. I want to say 30 years they've been active at the state capitol. And we came together and we thought it would be a great idea to pool our resources on issues we can find consensus on. So what we have done is we formed Capital Coalition of Conservative Leaders, and our organization, our coalition, consists of 39 different groups across the conservative spectrum, from Tea Parties to Georgia Conservatives in Action, to Georgia Right to Life, to Concerned Women for America, the North Georgia Conservative Women and other women's groups, all across the conservative spectrum, from fiscal conservatism to social conservatism. And we pool our resources on issues that we find consensus on. There may be some pieces of legislation that everyone in our coalition doesn't feel comfortable getting involved in. So we usually have, 5 to 7 agenda items, and we really concentrate in on those. And collectively, our coalition represents over 1 million Georgians when you combine our membership. And so we have been at the Capitol active as a coalition, this being our 4th year.
Well, we're excited about that. I'm glad you were able to share that with our viewers. We know Julianne works hard down there at the Capitol, and I know the ladies you spoke of. I've met them. I know all of you work hard down there, so keeping an eye on our lawmakers. I just want to end by telling you that Charlie Parrish, the chair commissioner in Gilmer County, his quote the other day was, this bill in its current form is a disaster. So that was his quote. And this is the Speaker of the House, David Ralston's district. And Chairman Parrish was supposed to speak to Speaker Ralston yesterday, and he's going to come back with us and talk about that conversation, not today, maybe tomorrow. We've been talking with Julianne Thompson, chairman of the Capitol Coalition for Conservative Leaders, and Steve Ramey, co-chairman of the Gwinnett Tea Party. We appreciate you for being with us. We're going to clip this segment and put it online, so it'll be with our series, and you can share this around and listen to it later today. Again, you two have a great day, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for
having us.
You're welcome. Okay, I don't know. Somebody text me out there. I've been getting texts. I appreciate it. Somebody text me out there and tell me how that went. How did having 2 people on the phone line go? How did it sound? We want to hear that from you. So please do me a favor this morning. Text me and tell me how that went. Now we're talking about House Bill HR 170, and we're going to close and wrap up. And the reason you need to listen to it, I'm not going to quote. I'll listen to it again, but there's a thought process out there, and you need to know. You heard it yourself. There's a thought process in a way on this transportation bill that the schools have been taking that penny, and it didn't belong to you anyway. I mean, hey, Julianne says over in Gwinnett they've got salaries of $400,000 and so forth. So you need to look inside and quit asking for the money when it doesn't belong to you anyway. Now she said it didn't belong to you. She didn't say that. Those are my words. But you've heard, hey, adjust your budget. It belongs to the state transportation according to the Constitution. Now, somebody sent me in the segment, and I wasn't able to read it or get to it on the Georgia Constitution. We will actually look at that and put that out. We appreciate somebody sent that in while we were talking. We're going to post, now, according to a letter, and I'm going to tell you who it is. I didn't tell you earlier, and we're going to stay with this segment here for a minute on the transportation, and we're going to close here in about 10 minutes. We're going to discuss real quick ELOST, the bond ELOST HB 170 here. If Gilmer County passes, and this is very important for Gilmer, Fannin, and Pickens. I don't know about Pickens, but Gilmer and Fannin, it's very important to call your local representative. That would be David Ralston in this case, the Speaker of the House. Senate, this is a House bill, but it's going to go over to the Senate, and Steve Gooch was, I think, and I don't think he still is, but he was chairman of the Transportation Committee. So if you want to get in touch with Senator Gooch, would be great too. But if you pass a SPLOST, E-SPLOST, in March, if you pass it, okay, we need an answer on this, and then this becomes law, this transportation bill in July. Do you lose that penny? Now, the communication director, I think that's her official title, the communication director, Joanne Del Planky of the Gilmer County Tea Party. Now, she did not send this under the umbrella of the Gilmer County Tea Party. She just sent it as an opinion. I'm just saying she's communication of the Gilmer County Tea Party, but this is direct from her. Citizen Joanne Del Planky sent in this letter that we are going to post, and she's done some math. She said that Gilmer County received $1,542,101 last year, and you received that in that penny at the pump. That will be gone. That's $128,000 a month in lost revenue. So that's 43. E-lost revenue is almost 43. That's 43% of $300,000 a month budget. You need to out there, Gilmer County Board of Education, Gilmer County Superintendent of Schools, you need to find out what happens, what cuts are coming your way if this becomes a bill in its current form. Then we have the letter from the Valdosta Tea Party. And some of you out there, if you don't know what the regional commissions are and you don't know about these boards, your state school board is appointed. Your regional commissions, these people are appointed. Your board of regents, they're appointed. These people are all appointed. They're not elected to anything, and it's concerning they have this power. So it is interesting. We will post this letter in our opinion section from the Valdosta Tea Party on 5.1. The board shall determine which projects are eligible projects and then select from among the eligible projects qualified projects. That's the quote in the bill. We'll post that because that's a lot of power to send this money to. So then we talked to the gentleman at the Gwinnett Tea Party, and as you can see, there's a lot of discussion starting to go around the state about the salaries. And you didn't hear, somebody's going to say, well, Brian got in and he started talking about the salaries. Look, as Julianne Thompson said, this money is not going to the teachers. Listen to me. This money's not going to the teachers, and we sure as heck know it's not going to the coaches. Yep, I said it. It's not going to the teachers, it's not going to the coaches. We talked about it this morning. I'm not the one that just brought it up. They're being talked about all across the state. So, hey, teachers, I'm not going to split hairs. I'm not opposed to teacher making good pay. I'm not getting into that, but right now, the math I have, and I'm not going to put the names, you can go online. This is public. You can pull this offline. I got it right offline. You can pull it, okay? That administrative office in Gilmer County, right now, the best I have figured is $960,000 a year. So we'll look at that more.